Hello, my name is Norris Smith, and I'm the Eligible Training Provider List Specialist here at the Technical College System of Georgia, WorkSource, Georgia. The purpose of today's presentation is to pass along information regarding the Georgia Eligible Training Provider List, or ETPL, and specifically how to view and navigate the database and how programs and providers are added. Today's agenda will consist of the following items. What is the Eligible Training Provider List? How to access the Eligible Training Provider List? How to become a training provider? The initial eligibility of new training providers and programs? How to add a program to the Eligible Training Provider List? And finally, registered apprenticeship programs. What is the Eligible Training Provider List? The ETPL is a list of educational programs that WIOA participants use to select training that can be funded by WIOA using individual training accounts. Simply stated, it is a list of approved training providers and programs made available to WIOA participants that allow them a better choice of services that they wish to undertake. Under WIOA, a training provider and educational program can best be defined as the following: a post-secondary institution that provide a program which leads to a post-secondary credential, i.e. a university or a technical college. Entities that carry out programs registered through the National Apprenticeship Act. Other public or private training providers, which may include community-based organizations. This would also include proprietary training institutions. Eligible providers of adult education and literary activities. And finally, local workforce development boards if they meet conditions under WIOA. A program of training can best be defined as one or more courses or classes or a structured regimen that leads to a recognized post-secondary credential, secondary school diploma or its equivalent, also employment or measurable skill gains that leads to such credential. These training services could be delivered in person, online, or in a blended approach. How to access the Eligible Training Provider List. The ETPL can be accessed through the state website, worksourcegaportal.com. I will now show you how to search for training providers and programs. So again, once on the site, there's two ways you can search, one by training providers and two by educational programs. So what you want to do is you want to scroll down and go under Education Services. And these are the two options you have: training providers in schools and training and education programs. We're going to go training providers in schools first. This is the option you want to choose if you know the name of the training provider and you just want to see or scroll through which programs they have on the ETPL currently. So you want to click there. All right, so this is the search criteria page for training providers. So what you want to do is, under the keywords, type in the name of the provider you want to search for. In this case, I want to search for Athens Technical College. So I want to type in the word Athens and hit enter. The search results come up and it's going to give you every provider on the ETPL that has Athens in it. And in this case, we're going to choose the first one, Athens Technical College. Okay, again, it's going to give you the name, the address, and the website, and you want to scroll down and go under program information. And what it does is going to give you the name of every program they have currently on the ETPL. The second column is going to give you the total price of each one of those programs. It's going to have if it has a check mark, that means it's WIOA compliant, which all of these are. And then the last one's going to be program length for each of the programs. So if you want more detail about what each of these programs offer, you would just click and it's going to give you the detailed description of the program. So again, it's going to have the name of the provider, the name of the program, and a description of what the program offers, the credential you're going to attain once complete, and the program length and the cost of the program. So again, this is if you want to see the names of all the programs for an individual provider on the ETPL, you would use this method. The second method will be if you have an educational program that you want to search for, but you don't know which provider to use. So you would go back to the home page, and under education and services, you want to type in the second one. You're going to click there, and it's going to be training and educational programs. So this is the method you want to use if you have an educational program in mind, but you don't know which provider to use. So say, for instance, I want to go into the welding field, but I don't know which provider to use. What you want to do is go to keyword and type in the word welding and hit enter. The search results come back with every program on the ETPL that offers a welding program. And as you can see, this is all of those programs. And let's see how many pages we have here. 11 pages of providers that offer this. The second column is going to lead to the credential that you're going to get once you complete the program. The third is going to be the provider name, the address, the city, the state, the zip code. And then the last one's going to be the program cost. So this is also a way where you can compare and contrast different providers. So if one provider is a little more expensive than the other, you can sort of click here and see how their program differs from the other one. Or if they're pretty similar, then the only thing that's different is the price. You can, sort of go there and see what the difference is, why is one a little bit more expensive than the other, and, choose there. And again, this is the city where it's going to be at. If you have a name of a program you want to go into and you live in a specific city, you want to search by there, you can also do it this way. Go back to the home page, go to training and education purposes. Okay, so area, you want to click on Georgia. You want, instead of leaving on state, you want to click city. So say I want to check every welding provider on the ETPL that's in the city of Atlanta. So I will type in Atlanta, and then under keyword again, type in welding and hit enter. All right, and then you want to hit search. All right, so what it brings up is every provider in the city of Atlanta that offers a welding course. And again, it's going to bring up the program name, the credential leads to the provider name, the address, the city, the zip code, and the program cost. So again, this is the way you can sort of compare and contrast, or the participant can, on the different prices. So this welding course is $7,000, this is $5,000. And so you can sort of click here and see what the differences are and decide which is better for you and what the program leads to. So again, this is the method you would use if you have the educational name and the city you want to search for. And so you can sort of compare and contrast on which programs and which provider you want to use that way. How to become a training provider. Potential training providers must submit an application for each course of study or program they wish to be included on the ETPL. Applications must be submitted directly to one of the 19 local workforce development areas to be reviewed and evaluated for inclusion on the ETPL. Once the provider and training program have been reviewed and approved by the local area, the application is then forwarded to the state for final approval. Training providers and programs will receive an initial eligibility for only 1 year for each specific program. Once the initial year is up, they will be reviewed by the local area for continued inclusion on the ETPL. Program applications need only be made with one local area for possible inclusion on the ETPL. Once approved for placement, an approved program is available to all local areas. Simply saying that if a provider wants to add a program, they don't have to apply to more than one local area. You would just need to apply to the local area nearest you, and then once approved and it's on the ETPL, any participant is able to use your program at that point. You don't have to apply to a different local area in a different part of the state if there's someone there that wants to use your program. Each local area has their own application for the ETPL. A potential provider will need to contact the nearest workforce development office in their area for access to the application, and it's usually listed on their website. Some of the information needed for the application will be the following: a detailed description of each training program, performance information for each training program, i.e. Employment rate, median earnings, and a measurable skill gains for completers, A description of the recognized post-secondary credential obtained after training is completed. So you just need to put a blurb in on the credential that the participants received and which agencies or which organizations recognize that credential. Describe how the training program aligns with in-demand industries within that community. Also, training providers must be in business for at least 6 months prior to the initial application and must have a current business license. They also must be in statutory compliance with the laws of the state related to operating as a training education institution. Proprietary colleges and schools operating in Georgia are required to be approved by the Georgia Non-Public Post-Secondary Education Commission. So that means that if you're a new training provider and you want to get an ETPL, before your application is submitted to the local area, you'll need to go through NPEC. They vet your educational institution. Once it's approved, they'll give you a certificate. You add that certificate with your application. The contact information for the Georgia Non-Public Post-Secondary Education Commission will be listed in the application. So when you get all the information, it'll tell you the steps you need to take and who to contact at that point. Initial eligibility of training providers and programs. Once approved, all training providers and educational programs are approved for 1 year. Once the year has expired, the provider and program are reevaluated by the local area for continued inclusion on the ETPL. So after the first year, if the provider and the program are reapproved, the expiration then is moved for every 2 years after that point. How to add a program to the ETPL. If a provider is currently on the ETPL and wishes to add an additional program to their list, they must contact the local area and complete the program application as they did with their previous programs. The same information they provided before will be needed for this new program. If the program is approved, again, it's approved only for 1 year at that point, and then it'll be reapproved or reevaluated once the year is up. So again, some of the information they're going to need will be performance information, the credential description, and the description of what the program is and cost information. Registered apprenticeship programs. Registered apprenticeship programs that are registered with the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship are automatically included on the state ETPL. Registered apprenticeship programs are not subject to the same application and performance information requirements, nor subject to the period of initial eligibility as other training providers are, because they go through a detailed application and vetting process through the U.S. Department of Labor. The provider will only need to contact the state office, letting them know that they've recently been approved to be in an apprenticeship program. They will send us their certificate. We will send them an information sheet application. Once they complete that, they send it back to us. Then we will use that information to add them to the ETPL at that point. So again, if it's a registered apprenticeship program, it's been approved by U.S. Department of Labor, they don't have to go through the local area or through the state to be approved. They're approved automatically. They just need to provide us with information and we'll add that to the ETPL at that point. Their programs are subject to be approved every 2 years. So every 2 years, then they will be reevaluated at that point. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time. And if maybe you have any questions regarding the ETPL or concerns or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me at the following. Again, the website that the ETPL is hosted on is worksourcegaportal.com. You'll find all the information there on how to access what programs are available, who's currently on it, and things like that. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at etpl@tcsg.edu. I can be reached there. Thank you for your time and good day.